And the Auburn Tigers over under win total at the Caesar Sportsbook of around 6 wins, minus 130 to the over, plus 100 to the under. Non-conference play, boy, they just start posted up on the plains. Mercer, San Jose State, Penn State, all at home. Also, then later in the year, they will be playing Western Kentucky, also at home. Draw from the East includes Missouri, then at Georgia for their rivalry game. Then in the West, at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State, at Alabama for the Iron Bowl, LSU, Arkansas, Texas A&M, all at home. Brian Harsin caught a lot of heat at the end of last season. Well documented, much discussed here on the Cover 3 podcast. Tank Bigsby, we're going to do the, who is the best quarterback in the SEC? Who are the best wide receivers in the SEC? Tank Bigsby, right there in the argument, if not starting the conversation for best running back in the Southeastern Conference. Then we've got Zach Calzada through the transfer portal. TJ Finley remains a part of this team. What do we do? We got changeover at coordinators, coaching staff in general. We've made all these references to where's Auburn, where is Auburn at the end of the season? Where is Auburn at the end of the season for the win total? What do we do with 6 wins?
Under.
It's a much tougher number than. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
I'll say under. I just don't know how you can trust a team. I think 6-6 is probably the number, but how do you trust a team when who knows how many players want a new coach? But we know that a very definitive faction of Auburn faithful want a new coach. I just think it's a toxic environment that Brian Harsin is trying to go against the grain in. Well, I mean, I look at the Georgia being just a blowout loss. I think they could lose at Ole Miss, and then good luck trying to finish the season when there's going to be an uproar of what should happen at head coach. I think there's question marks whether they beat Penn State at home. There's no way I can trust this team with an over.
4-0 is possible.
Possible.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
5-0, maybe even possible. But what if Western Kentucky finishes Brian Harsin and they go 0-4 in the month of November? No, I'm predicting a big step back for Western Kentucky. This is obviously not the same. No Bailey Zappi, no Zach Kittle. That's not the case. But I still think that when the schedule gets tough and it starts at Georgia, at Georgia, loss. At Ole Miss, loss. Arkansas could come to town, loss. At Mississippi State, I already mentioned in the Mississippi State breakdown, I'm handing that to the Bulldogs, loss. Texas A&M, loss. We could start with great vibes. And I just think that at the back
they
half
did last year too.
Yeah, and that's what's going to make it hurt even worse is the way that they just slid backwards throughout the whole second half of the season. If it starts to happen, here we go again. Yeah, I'm on the under, but it's not a strong they are going to miss a bowl prediction as much as it is I don't see 7 wins. So it's the way that I've got it in my notes is push lean under, but I would not be out here taking the over.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on it. I bet this 6.5 when it came out. There are 6.5s on the market right now, but you have to lay juice to go over. And I just think that missing a bowl is more likely here than winning 7 games. First, the strengths. I think this will be the best starting Auburn offensive line in maybe 6 or 7 years. I think they finally have some guys up there up front they like. If they stay healthy. If they don't, I think the depth is a very legitimate concern. I think their pass rush is probably okay. I do not think that their interior defensive line is anything to write home about, to be honest. I think they could get pushed around a little bit there. They lost some very key pieces in the secondary, like Roger McCreary and Smoke Monday. Hope Smoke gets healthy, by the way. I saw he got hurt in, I think it was Saints camp the other day. So shout out him. The most concerning part about this team for me is the receiver position. This was a bad group last year, and they lost Kobe Hudson and Robertson. I don't think. Is this the worst passing game in the SEC West by far or by a little? Because I'm pretty sure it's worse. I'm just not sure by how much.
In the West, yes.
Is it worse than everybody but Vanderbilt in the East throwing the ball?
No, I think it's better than Mizzou.
Interesting. So I almost think I trust the alpha nerd to have a better passing game than I do this group. I worry this team is too plotting and has too many like games that it cannot hit explosive plays with the pass game, and may not have quite enough defense to back it up. So they like to play that kind of plotting, run the ball 40 times a game style. So I'm going to go under, but I'd rather pay up to get the 6.5 and win on 7.
Auburn will be a lock for me when we do the locks pod next week, and it will be a lock on the over.
Ooh. All right.
You are all slaves to the narrative. You're just paying attention to all the off-field stuff. You're not paying nearly enough attention to the on-field stuff. I think, as I said when they made the hire, I think Brian Harsin is a very good football coach. When I watched his teams at Boise State, I thought they were good football teams. I think now that he has survived whatever the hell that stupidity was last year, Auburn has a very good football coach going into the season. I think at quarterback, they have made an upgrade. I know Zach Calzada is not great, but this makes sense to me when I say it. Maybe it'll make sense to you. Zach Calzada is a Brian Harsin quarterback. Like Zach Calzada could have played for Boise State, and it would have made a whole ton of sense. I think he fits what Harsin wants to do on offense. I think that's going to work. Going back to the worst passing game in the conference, talked about Vandy. I think he's better than Missouri. I also think, due to some news we'll probably be talking about in a little bit, Florida might be better than Florida too. I don't think the passing offense is that bad, Bud. You touched on it. I think this offensive line is good. I think the defensive line is good. I feel like when you have good offensive line and defensive line, that goes a long way. And when I look at this schedule, Chip, you mentioned it. This team could be 4-0 to start. It could be 5-0 because, again, no damn idea what LSU is. At Georgia, no, not happening. At Ole Miss, could happen. Bye. Arkansas at home off a bye. That's a winnable game. Mississippi State on the road. I just said I'd like the Bulldogs. I give the Bulldogs that one, but Auburn can win that. A&M at home. Strong lean to A&M, but not unimpeachable for Auburn. Western Kentucky, that's going to be a win. And then, the final game of the year at Alabama, come on, that's going to be Alabama. But it is also the Iron Bowl, and crazy crap happens in the Iron Bowl, even without Gus Malzahn. So I think this team is going to get to 7-5. I think this team can get to 8-4. I am very much on the over here. Go Tigers, war damn Eagle.
Can I ask you a question about this?
You can ask me anything you want, bud.
What? So you said you think he fits what Harsin wants to do on offense. Like what do you think that actually is, though? Because I'm curious.
It's not all that different. It's less complicated, but it's not all that different from what we see Jimbo have his quarterbacks do. Just he's not asking you to make huge throws. He's just asking you to make simple, accurate throws for the most part. And I think that's kind of what Calzada was in last year. But now he doesn't have 1,000 checks and all this other crap that he's got to worry about. It's just going to be go to the line of scrimmage, make this read, make the throw. Like he only averaged just under 7 yards per attempt last year, but 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions as a sophomore, doesn't make the worst decisions, didn't have great receiving options last year. I don't think he's going to have great receiving options this year either, but I do think that they're going to rely on their run game more. Like Auburn is going to play not Big Ten West stylish, but they're going to be kind of in that vein where it's physical, complementary football. They're not going to try to outscore you. They're just going to try to play smart and beat you and keep it close.
Play action, 1-2, get out. Yeah.
Yes, all that kind of stuff. And I think Calzada could be a very good fit for that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year we're looking at Zach Calzada and saying that's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC.
Wow. And then Brian Harsin gets a $95 million extension. That's all I hear the next.
And then they fire him 6 months later.
Yeah. I hope you're right. I don't like seeing coaches I think he's been given such a tough situation. I hope you're right. I just wouldn't bet on it.
I love that he brought in Brian Harsin is so against the grain that we don't get to see all the familiar names. Like all the SEC coaches, just, it's all inbreeding when it comes to their coaching staff. You look at the Auburn coaching staff. Who? What's that guy? Okay, I got to click on more bios.
They tried the inbreeding route, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, that clearly didn't work out. Well, Jerry Hennon loves your prediction, Tom. That's absolutely fantastic.